Yes indeed, you are tuned to KNON 89.3 FM, the voice of the people, on the Grand Groove Saturday. Yo, I hope everybody's prepared for a really wonderful show. We're gonna be doing an old school show, kind of like, but it's gonna be particularly and pointed to the history of hip hop in Dallas. I definitely want to welcome you all. And yo, let's go ahead and do this. Peace and blessings.
Let me tell y'all a story about a hot summer day. I took a cruise in my Beamer to pass the time away. It was a Sunday, so hot it was. Still at the pocket, thought my baby's what a B-boy does. I woke up real early, turtle wax in my ride. Put on a rob on my wrist because my Beamer's my bride. When I finally finished waxing, thought I'd go for a cruise. Not too late to really rock those suckers, boy, it's the truth. Compact this is getting busy, jam the interfix jam. Rocky cruise in the back, passengers at the helm. Alright, that's my fucker, chill my favorite spot. Turned up the AC because the temperature's hot. When I taste that, my review take a guess what appeared. A foxy yellow hammerhead, our body will kick it over. What I'm saying, that the hammer was deaf. Lucky girl can rock your world, even steal your breath. Yellow hammer. Yep. Yellow. Yellow hammer.
I think overall, man, like even though I'm from New York, I think Dallas is where I really cultivated and found my style. You know, like this was my training ground. Like, you know, like New York gave me the energy and the imagery that I needed to become passionate about hip hop. Dallas is where I sharpened my skills. Like, you know, Mike Tyson's from Brooklyn, but he learned how to box in the Catskills.
I considered myself like a child of hip hop because I was in that era where it was coming out of the 70s soul and R&B.
We're talking kind of the funk transition into the hip hop, from go-go to the East Coast beats from the Bronx.
Really, it was 79, Rapper's Delight. You know, talking over music just instantly pulled me in.
Working at Arby's or something, and first paycheck, I went out and bought a Radio Shack mixer and bought a couple of albums, and it just took off from there. First album I bought was Mantronics, the album.
You know, coming up then, when you were a youngster then, you know, you DJing. Skip school just to go through wax. You know, we had rappers, but my thing back then was we finna go through crates of wax just to find out new beats and new break beats.
I originally started as a mixed DJ. Most of the DJs from Dallas were completely blown away by U-Shape.
It was introduced to me, U-Shape got us all, you know what I'm saying?
U-Shape was like the reigning king of DJs in the Dallas area. Everybody knew U-Shape. He was Mr. Funk and Roll. That was his title.
You know, we're 16, 18-year-old teenagers, and he's that generation just ahead of us. So we were just on his coattail.
I used to tote his records. Although I was doing parties back at the college, I would tote his records just to get in and see what he was doing and learn how to pull crowds like he did.
He worked at every club here. He got the whole town put on the map as far as bringing new music down here. He would play stuff that no other stations would never play.
He was the first mixed DJ that we ever heard on K104 radio station. He was the very first DJ that we ever heard mix music on the radio. And those were the seeds that were planted for many of us to even inspire us to want to be DJs.
Network, which is one of the first, you know, hip-hop records in Dallas, you know, if not the first.
You got to work that neck. That's a U-shaped group that called a Star-Studded Strutter. That was like hip-hop around here, man, you know.
Star-Studded Strutters, they came out with that song, Network, that was pretty big around this area. You know, we hear stuff on the radio here, and us being kids, we're thinking, oh man, these guys are famous. You know, they playing it all over the world. But we don't know. I don't know. To this day, I don't know how big that song was, but it was big to us.
Okay, that's Network, and as you can see, the vinyl is in mint condition. Yeah.
Even though they say we're cool with fat dead cash, tall buildings, skyscraper, yes, city of lights, clubs with the freaks fucking roll all night. All the other cities have been going down, but
I would hear him on the radio, you know. I'm like, man. Then when he used to go up to Twilight Skating Ring, and I lived in walking distance, you best believe I walked up there. And it's like everybody else probably was like skating or trying to holler at a girl. I would get my spot on the wall, and I would watch U-Shape just mix.
At Twilight, it'd be crazy, it'd be packed, and he'd be in the DJ booth climbing all over the walls and just crazy stuff.
Twilight was the spot, man, you know what I'm saying, over there in the PG. It was just a skating rink, and I never skate. I was just there to hear you say music, and a lot of us were just standing around, they wasn't skating, you know? And then at the end of the night, he would put one record on, he'd take his skates off, and for about 20 minutes, he'll mix that record over and over. And we like, wow, how you do that? You know, that's what we was trying to figure out what the mixing was about. He'd play it for 20 minutes, and at the end of that song, when it go off, he'd say good night, and your ears just ring, and you know, that was awesome to us back then, you know?
beep, 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 we're gonna break it. 2, 3. We're gonna break it.
UK was more known for Twilight because at the time, Twilight was the place was hopping at that time. But when Dr. Rock came on the scene, everybody started coming to Shamrock, you know? So it's like you had a lot of people going to Twilight, most of the people in the Pleasant Grove area, but then when Shamrock came on the scene, there was a place for this area to come to, and everybody started coming to Shamrock.
Please do not start taking dictation until after you have listened to this short introduction.
Remember, like, the intro was like, dun-dun-dun-dun.
Dr. Rock doing this 4 turntable mega mixes. Dr. Rock had it on lock. You gotta give credit to that dude.
I mean, Dr. Rock was the first person I seen, you know, rock 4 turntables live, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he did the 4 turntable mega mix on Saturday nights. So it was something that Dallas had never heard on the radio. It was being done in the streets and in the hoods. But on the radio, it was unheard of. I mean, people would literally stop their cars and just open up the doors and go for it.
He would do the 2 and 3 turn, 4 turntables, and he was scratching. And we like, wow. He's like, what is this thing he's doing? How did you wear it? So then that added another element to the game. You had to learn how to scratch now.
You know, then the city was divided. And you had half of us were just diehard U-Shape fans because that was the one that we started out, you know, with. And then there were other people that were like, wow, this Dr. Rock guy is fresh and he's new and he's scratching. And see, U-Shape was old school. He would just mix.
I just saw 2 different, you know, things. Rock had his style, U-Shape had his style. You know, U-Shape, he just jammed. He was a mixologist, you know. Rock, he would jam, but he had that ability to just cut up those records, and he was more like the new progression of time, you know.
I was scratching before I heard of Dr. Rock, but I actually really turned it up a notch when I started hearing him because the LA scratch was different from everybody else's scratch. So Rock had me just like everybody else sitting at the radio every weekend recording his show.
Dr. Rock came down here with that California thing, which was a totally different element than what we were used to.
Dwayne Dancer hired me, you know, and my first night, they didn't put me in a club, they put me in the radio station without any turntables. I used the actual turntables that the radio station had. And I was like, dude, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So I looked and I took the rubber pads off, put some paper down, and I actually scratched with the knobs on the board. And the board lit up. I mean, the calls went crazy. And the next day, the radio station bought me a complete unit.
Yes indeed, you are tuned to KNON 89.3 FM, the voice of the people. And my really introduction as far as DJing was from my man, Troy Glover, better known as the Master Mixer. And he's the person who brought me actually to KNON. And I always got to thank him and the godfather of all of this here in the Metroplex, my man Nippy Jones.
Out of rock,
Shay, and Nip. Nip was probably the lesser known of the three, but he was probably the most important to Dallas hip hop between those three.
He was the first one to create avenues for local rappers to shine. During a time when LL Cool J and Kool Moe Dee and all these guys were on major labels, and that was the stuff that your mainstream stations were playing, you could always count on Nippy to play just your local rappers, you know?
Nippy Jones on Fridays, who was breaking tons of local groups like D-Man and the Fresh Ones. One of my favorite artists from that era was D-Man and B-Ski.
Nippy just kind of welcomed us all in, and we all just kind of got to know each other and became like a family, you know? And at that time, we probably didn't realize it, but we were all on the same mission to bring hip-hop in the DFW to a forefront.
It was a handful of DJs that wasn't getting the exposure that they really needed because they had the talent to do it. It's like that. So I kept showcasing these guys, and then another thought jumped in my head. It's like, okay, now I got the DJs. Now let's get the rappers. So we collaborate the DJs and the rappers together on my show, and we call it the Funky Fresh Freaky Friday show. It was like a house party. You know what I'm saying? So once we did that, then we combed the city. I mean, we come on at 12 o'clock, we had people missing school.
3 minutes after 2 o'clock, Dippy Jones along with the party front crew. Snake from the club Pizzazz is here. What's up? Casanova Ride. And you know that. And everybody's pal, Big Al. Yeah, buddy. Jerome from the box head. That's me. And my girl, Princess. Yo, cuz. Oh, yeah. It's live, baby. We'll be with you until 2:30. Another Dynamite weekend. Hope you're getting off with us.
Rap music in the very beginning was very much like punk rock. I mean, it was so far out on the periphery that there was no way it was ever gonna make it on television or make it on the radio. So it was KNON radio, really more than anything else, that kind of kick-started the movement.
KNON is, to me, it's major. It means more to me than any station ever has.
KNON was big. I mean, they were groundbreaking. They still are to this day, really.
It's the only station in Dallas that I can turn on that's playing the type of hip hop that I like.
Everything people talked about when it came down to music was like, I'm running a KNON. You go to the big house in East Dallas. You know, you go to Carroll, make that left on San Jacinto, 2nd floor, deliver your music. If you're not doing that, you ain't doing nothing in Dallas.
It was in an old two-story house. The floors all rickety.
You would go in, go up the stairs, and the radio station was on the 2nd floor. And wood paneling house, you could see through the floor.
And like every time I walked, I felt like I was gonna fall through the house. No bullshit. And it was like 30 motherfuckers in a room. It was hot as shit. But it was like, it was so raw, man. It was like, you know, like you gotta go through that.
It was in East Dallas, over there on San Jacinto in the White House. I got the pleasure or the kudos for being the last show to air out of the White House. That house was, whew. I thought about going by there last week. I wonder if it's still standing.
Where we at right now, we are standing at the old place where KNON used to be. Right back here, the White House used to be. Yeah, it's all gone now, torn down. A real big piece of history. So much has gone on through these halls. I've got a picture of me in front here, and I'm standing with my first crew. And in this picture, because she was part of the crew too, was Apples, you know, Erykah Badu. She was just a little kid back then. Yeah, you know, a lot of great stuff, man. I had Insane Clown Posse pull up here and they bust. I don't know what the fuck. I'm serious. I was just like, what? Not to just I gotta tell you the story because it's funny as shit. there wouldn't be hip hop in Dallas without Eddie D, you know what I mean?
When you talk about hip hop in Dallas, you have to talk about Easy Eddie D. You have to.
Easy Eddie D, man, he's Dallas's hip hop for sure.
I remember listening to his like smooth voice and like laid back, you know, cool Eddie, you know. Everybody knows when Eddie comes on the radio, he's like, yo.
Yo.
Yo, it's Easy Eddie D.
Easy Eddie D, yo.
Yo.
Yeah, so he talk all slick and shit. You know what I'm saying? He talk like he had about 50 hoes.
But yeah.
That's my boy, man. Know his music too. He one of the best DJs in the city.
There are times, I hate to say it, but there are times when I really worry about hip hop. You know, it got to a point where it was just so bad. But then it's weird. You could tune into Eddie's show and he'd find all this stuff, these backwoods motherfuckers from New Orleans and just, I mean, and not the masterpiece shit. I'm talking about grimy, talented motherfuckers, you know?
He's been doing what he's been doing for so long. Like, when there is nobody out there still doing that. I mean, even, you know, names like Stretch and Bobbito, like, you know, Sway and Tech, like, those dudes aren't repping it like Eddie's repping it, man, and that's the crazy, crazy thing.
Second longest running hip hop show in history, and he's not known by more people. You know, this guy right here is the foundation, and I promise you, if people need to know who this guy is.
I give him much love for even still being at KNON. Without him, there's no local foundation of hip hop. He's the voice of the local hip hop scene here, without a doubt.
It's been 25 plus years that he's been on the air. He's been on the air for a long, he outlasted all of us. He's still at KNON, and he's still doing his thing.
No doubt, you're tuned to KNON 89.3 FM, the voice of the people on the Grand Groove Saturday. And we're doing the show on the history of hip hop in DFW, and gotta say peace was up to Nemesis, the group. They were very instrumental in bringing a lot of attention to Dallas hip hop. And my man Snake, who had the legendary show All Hardy Death Party. They used to come on Wednesday nights on KNON, and I came on Thursday nights. But they did so much, and Snake was, to me, he's one of the greatest producers that are out there. So I could never go anywhere in Dallas hip hop history without mentioning Snake, Big Al, Casanova Rock, All Hardy Death Party.
Y'all the first person to see this. I ain't put this online. I purposely say this for this. You asked about Snake, what they was doing. These dudes were so important. This is a flyer that I got from them, from '87. This dude, Snake, Big Al, and Casanova, man. I say this flyer, I want to purposely share all this. These dudes are icons.
All Hardy Death Party was the hottest hip-hop show on KNON. Probably, I would say probably hands down.
Now, they were the very first one who played hip-hop, nothing but the hip-hop. You see what I'm saying? They didn't mix anything else with that. They didn't play R&B and none of that. It was strictly core hip-hop.
What I was hearing what these guys were playing was, it was way different. You know, you was hearing KRS-One and Public Enemy and these cats, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what is this?
They showed me the direction I wanted underground to go. And one day I had to listen to the show and they were playing Ultramagnetic. And that was it.
They brought personality to the air with the interaction between Big Al and Snake, and Al was basically, you know, All Hardy, baby, you know.
And they was talking, they had skits, boo boo smoking, Captain Big Al, baby.
Big Al was a comedian, man. He was very funny. He would always have something to say to you to make you laugh.
We used to light it up, man. It was nice. Actually, Nippy Jones turned us on and gave us a start there, and we was on his show for a little while every now and then we ended up getting our own show, and they get a big thanks to my partner Nippy for sure.
their show was, how can I say? I'm gonna tell you a quick story about them. We were all kind of jealous of those guys, man. These guys, Nippy was showing them much love, right? Much love, but those guys were really ready to do this thing, man. I mean, Snake bust a lot of great records. And he's the one really kind of like took hip hop to the next level. I mean, they were playing, the first time I heard Go See the Doctor by Kumo D and Jazz Jeff, Girls of Water Number Trouble. It was way before they started playing on radio, before they even got signed. He was already playing it.
My partner Al, Big Al, he used to fly back and forth to New York like every 2 weeks or so and just go pick up music, downstairs records, just go get fresh music that's never been heard anywhere pretty much, just other than New York when it's first released. So we always had the hot stuff. We didn't have to, wasn't no internet then, so we had to go get that music, you know? So that was one of the advantages we had. So that Al always come back with that hot stuff and we just blew it up like that.
And Snake would make these beats and he would play them on a radio show and it was called Snake Beats. You know, it was this big intro and it was just nothing but instrumental. Snake making these beats. And he incorporated that at the party. You know, he would have his drum machine there and it was just something that Dallas had never experienced before. And there was not another DJ that did it like Snake, I'm gonna tell you.
I didn't really know Snake for music when I first got in the rap game. I heard him on 89.3, 90.9 back in the game with him and Al a couple of times. I was back and forth from Texas to California, so I really wasn't tripping on the radio too much. And I was caught up in some other stuff, you know, living that life. But I knew who he was. I didn't know about the beats.
Drop the bass. Drop the bass. Drop the bass.
Oh, come on, man. DJ Snake is a legend, man.
If don't nobody else say it, he the architect of the sound. Okay? So I'ma say it, Snake. You know what I'm saying? Put that on the hood.
People say Magic Mike created the bass and all that. Now DJ Snake created the bass, man. He was the first cat to use it in the proper way. And I ain't talking about distorted or nothing. I'm talking about what bust your windows out your car.
You wanted some bass? You had to go to Snake. I mean, that was the basis of Nemesis. That was the basis of Ron C. I mean, all the other little records he did, the PKOs and stuff. That was like the bass.
I used to build my own speakers. Me and my homie used to build our own speakers and whatnot. So I kind of knew how the components work. And, I mean, I like the bass. I like the mids and the highs, but the bass was always the meat of the song. You know what I mean? The bottom end. So I was like, always a low end guy.
Next thing you know, we heard that only in Oak Cliff, because it's the Oak Cliff. And then we're like, dang.
Cause it's the Oak Cliff, only in Oak Cliff, but you'll never find another place like this. Cause it's the Oak Cliff, only in Oak Cliff, where you can tell the rap from the real.
Something fresh, Azim, Easy Roxy, Bumblebee. They was a crew, they had their own rap crew, and they had a couple of good songs out there.
We started out battle rappers, me and Azim, and Dr. Rappenstein, Easy Rock C.
We used to have them guests up in the radio station on the All Hold the Death Party show. And we started hanging out pretty much. I'm like, hey, I got a couple beats, you know what I mean? I got some 909 S Crib, whatnot, SV12. Well, let's get together and hook something up.
The first song that put us on was Oak Cliff. That's when we was still something fresh. So Snake made that on 909. And we was really tripping. It was really like we was just tripping and thinking of everything that everybody in Dallas did at the time, you know what I'm saying? So, man, that shit hit, and it was on a cassette before it was anything. We could have made some money.
After that, Bumblebee actually changed the name of the group. He thought something fresh was kind of like played out or whatever, so he wanted to come with something a little bit more personal that kind of spoke to what we was about, and came up with Nemesis. We all liked it, you know what I mean? So Bumblebee actually changed the name of the group. When we put out actually the first album out, Oak Cliff was a single. We put our first album out, it did good. That's what we did last night, and that was our first actual hit as far as nationally.
You know, boom, 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 boom,
Yeah. I mean, Nemesis, that was it, you know what I'm saying?
I was like, oh, man, that was the anthem. Let's get married.
It's not my first record, but this is the first record with all us together. It's Easy Rock C, Bumblebee, that's Azim right there, of course me, Big Al, Casanova the Rock, Cass, one time for Cass, man. You hear what I said? Detroit in the building. That's my manager, Richard McDonald. That's my homie Craig. He played guitars on a lot of our early stuff, the Last Night and all that stuff. He played guitars on those songs, so that was one of our hits. And that's my other manager, Ken Richardson. See, he got on crutches. His dumb ass shot himself in the foot.
Back then, like, it was a shit for you to ride around and that bass be hitting, you know what I'm saying? And you had that shit turned up, you know what I'm saying, with the crown right in front of your car, you know, the whole shit, like, you know what I'm saying? That was like, that was me, you know? And Nemesis was like, had just like hard-ass bass.
Nemesis, of course, that was #1. I'm telling you, that was #1. The Dallas music, that's Dallas sound right there, man.
Everybody wanted to get to those people. They were on Profile Records, and Run DMC was on Profile Records. It was just like, wow, we've made it, you know what I mean? They're on the same label as the Legends, you know? So it was just really cool for Texas in general, not just Dallas, but even Fort Worth is proud of that, you know?
We used to see Nemesis videos on jukebox. So it was like, oh, wow, man, finally, Dallas, man, Dallas. We have our own, you know, so those, Nemesis, I can say, is the first, you know what I'm saying, the first major. Of course, everybody knows Vanilla Ice, but that's a different chapter.
I didn't know him, but I kind of knew he was like this white dude that was kind of hanging out in the hood, kind of chilling. So that mean he, you know what I'm saying? That mean he must have been cool. He must have had some kind of stamp on his past.
Right before the Ice Ice Baby thing kicked off, it was a club called City Lights. I think Eazy-E, well, no, Hammer was there. And I think he opened the show for Hammer. And it was absolutely amazing. Here's this white boy in front of all these black folks doing this thing, you know?
He was a white little speck in the middle of pitch blackness in South Dallas. And we did not ever care. It didn't matter, it didn't come up. Ice loved the girls of North, and he loved the girls of down South. And he had respect down there like he had respect up here during those days, you know?
That's it. Thanks, guys. High tech. John Huffman. We're done. Thank you, guys. What it do, nephew? Look at this guy. What's up, man? Come on, man.
I never really took anything serious. It was all for fun. We were just really products of our environment. And I never knew like how big that could influence you, you know? A lot of people think I came from Carrollton. I really didn't come from Carrollton. Let's set the record straight right now. I'm from Farmers Branch, man. I lived right off Fike Road. I went to R.L. Turner High School. I'm proud of that area because if it wasn't for me being in that area, I probably wouldn't be who I am, you know?
The first song that I actually did for Ice was Play That Funky Music. I did that one first, and I did it based on who he was, Play the Funky Music white boy. You know, I'm like, this will be a good hit, we can go in and do this. The second thing that I did was Ice Ice Baby. It didn't have a title at the time. All I could think of was him out on the stage. We called him Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby.
When EMI picked up my record, it instantly blew up. Things were going so fast, I never slowed down enough for me to sit back and enjoy it. But we were just living the dream, man, because we didn't care about the money. We didn't have any time to spend it anyway. We're too busy doing the show, but we cared about the show. The show was priority #1. And the passion I took and the passion that we all took to put this show together was magical, to say the least.
That shit blew up. It blew up for him, you know what I'm saying? It ain't like, I mean, yeah, you know, everybody had a smart mouth about the white dude and shit, dancing and shit, but shit, that shit blew up. So after a while, all the shit you was saying about him just faded away.
I'm going to say the best way for me to put that in perspective. Vanilla Ice had a video that showed a white kid dancing that could dance. And white America was ready for their hip-hop king. And that's what he was.
Pop rocking in Dallas? Oh, no, they were bad. They were better than cats on the national level, man, really.
In my opinion, breaking and popping wise, Dallas was more competitive on a national level more than we ever had rappers. You know what I mean? We had some really dope dancers.
Popping, you had pop locking, you had hitting, you know, you had so many styles.
We made our own moves, man. We would sit up there all day at my house, practicing like you wouldn't believe, man. Shirts off, sweating. And I'm telling you, we did it every day.
Everybody was hungry, it was fun, you know, it was about the girls. Everybody was creating their own styles, like, you know, like King Arthur here, come along with the chopper, you know. He created chopper, you know.
They started a lot of that chop locking. And, you know, Arthur Charles was one of the forerunners, him and little brother. They always used to go toe-to-toe at a play called Second Stage. They would always go toe-to-toe dancing. Chopper was mostly you know, they would hit themselves and be chopping all up and bending all up and stuff, you know, and walking and chopping with it. But the first one I actually seen it was Arthur Charles. So that's where the chop locking came from.
And I still don't understand why come we got so much plex from Dallas youngsters making dance music when dancing has been part of hip hop since day one. Some of the hardest rappers back then had dancers in the back, you know, right?
Tupac.
Shit, Big Daddy Kane had dancers, everybody had dancers. MC Hammer went fucking crazy. So, you know, what's the fuck?
But the biggest one that I don't know if a lot of people tell y'all about is the box heads.
But I don't fuck with them box heads, dog.
The box head, Gerald, my God. That was a signature move.
The checkered shirt on, they they said that shit was dope.
They were a tandem, and they were so synchronized and so sick that you wouldn't even really believe you were watching what you were watching. If you saw it on video, you would think it was like modified somehow.
Dance up at Beckley Saint Center. Beckley Saint on Oak Cliff.
They were great. We would hear all the way across town about how great the box heads are.
They came from another universe, and they just came down here like Wonder Twins. And it was around this time where it had this very Egyptian feel to it, you know what I'm saying?
With Gerald Griffith, you know, they create the King Tut, but he became like a master at it, you know, so if you wanted to like battle Gerald Griffith, you know, and you touch, they were like, I don't think you want to do that.
Hello, what's going out there, world? All the underground hip-hop breaking and pop locking. My name is Gerald Don Griffin, the original box head. I'm still in the groove, it's like it goes. The original style of dancing is, you know, first it was locking. It was locking. And then it pop, touch. You know, just a style that, you know, I came up with my own way of doing it.
The illest. I mean, to this day, I haven't seen anybody better. The box heads, and for those people don't know, so box heads basically it was like a high top fade, kind of like Kid and Play, but it came out past the forehead, kind of like this King Tut type crown on the head, right?
They did the whole hook and cut down and hang over. Man, I mean, they did things with their hair that was, we were like, what in the world?
I was really trying to get a Morris Day Jerry curl, where your curl come out right in front of your forehead, but I cut too much hair off and it ended up being flat. And I went up with it, it was just boxing. And everybody used to laugh at me at school, because they didn't like it. It was a joke. And all of a sudden, everybody started wearing the style.
Box heads were on Soul Train. Box heads were on tour with John McEnroe. But Major Harris was one of the first poppers that really got shine. And then you had cats like The Wizard from West Dallas. You had Michael Rodriguez from North Dallas, DP, The Rockets. Fresh K was a member of The Rockets, who later became a member of Feel the Fresh Crew with D.O.C.
If I give you a little thumb drive, it's like in your iTunes or something.
Yeah.
And just drag it over.
Curtis was always a part of his group, the Rockets. It was four of those guys. Mr. Rocket, Disco Joe, No Bones, that was Curtis, and Mr. Wave, that was Gene. And all of these dudes was pretty cold-blooded, you know. Joe was the locker, he did all that, you know. And Curtis was just to get on the floor and do all of those flips and all of this shit. And Mr. Wade, he was one of all of that crazy shit. I couldn't do none of that shit, you know.
And I'm the diggy doc, y'all. Bumping it, yes, y'all. D.O.C. on the
No one came close to Trey Curry. I mean, best lyrics, coolest sounding voice, you know, most clever wordplay.
The whole thing of lyrics, that's always been D.O.C. He wasn't no bullshit trash MC. He was gonna make you go home and eat your fucking cereal if you tried him, you know?
You could tell just being around him, the presence he had, and how he carried himself, that this dude was gonna do something.
Anybody hasn't heard No One Can Do It Better, you know, they're killing themselves.
This right here is a part of hip-hop history right here, D.O.C. And the funny thing about it, I never knew D.O.C. was from Dallas until years after this record came out, you know what I mean?
When was the first time you ever held that thing?
I can't remember that shit, man. I remember this dude, though. See that gold chain with the D.O.C. on it? That cost me $1 million. Because it was that chain that Easy claimed he paid for it and enabled him to take every fucking bit of my publishing. Of course, at this age, I didn't even know what the fuck publishing was. Who do you want me to make this out to? There was this local DJ. His name is Dr. Rock. When hip-hop started to grow in Dallas, he was the street DJ for K104. And he had a radio show on Saturday nights. He would throw it at these big skating rings and would basically get about 1,000 kids under this joint and rock out, you know. And so he saw us, and then one night he came to us and said he wanted to start a rap group, wanted to know if we were interested. And I was with Curtis, the other guy, and he was like, shit, yeah, let's do it.
The alarm clock's ringing, birds are singing. That's the D.O.C. Yep, Feel Fresh Crew.
They came out, and the first song they did was I Hate to Go to Work. The morning show at K104 picked up the song, and they would play it every morning. So, of course, you wake up and you hear, I hate to go to work. So it became a huge record.
At the time, we didn't know that Dr. Rock was affiliated with Dr. Dre and Eazy-E. You know, they were his homeboys from his LA days.
And then this record came out, Boys in the Hood. Rock found out that Dre had produced it. So when that record got big, he flew those guys down here to be at his little party. And it just it was nuts. It was like a mini riot when Eazy showed up at that motherfucker, man. It was bananas, you know.
Eazy-E wanted us to be with him. He wanted us to sign with him, and I did not want to sign. Even though we were friends, I didn't want to sign because I didn't want someone to tell me on how to do these records. And at that time, Dre was a great producer. Eazy was doing Cube, was writing like crazy. In the course of me taking Doc back and forth to LA, of course, they all met each other, and they thought Doc was the greatest thing ever.
As far as like people not knowing, I mean, the D.O.C. is a perfect example. I mean, he was probably the biggest success to come out of Dallas, but I don't think a whole lot of people knew he was from Dallas. I didn't when the first time I heard him, because it's not like he was wearing like Mavericks hats and Cowboys stuff in his videos. He was wearing Raiders hats just like everybody else in NWA.
I remember hearing people have diss records about D.O.C. about that, but I didn't feel like he you know, at that point, man, he did what he had to do he did the Former. I'm just gonna tell you, he worked with Dr. Dre, he did the Former, so I don't see how a nigga get mad at a nigga doing the Former. Nigga, you did the Former?
Nobody came from New York. Unless you were from New York City, you didn't do what I was doing. Nobody could do that. So coming back door through California, back backdoor from Texas through California. Motherfuckers was like, wow, man, what in the fuck? You know, what? I thought you were Jamaican. I thought you were Jamaican, and I thought you were New York. That kid ain't from Texas, you know? And I'm like, yeah, man, it's a Dallas kid, you know? And, but of course, most of the city of Dallas was upset because I didn't have Dallas sweatshirts. And, you know, NWA was all LA Kings, LA. So I was trying to fit in, you know. I didn't know that shit was gonna have repercussions to it, that you better put on some Dallas Cowboy shit or it's gonna be a problem. Otherwise, I'd have been cowboyed out, you know. Most of those guys in California I was fucking with are Cowboy fans anyway, you know, because they was all Crips until Suge came, you know.
And that time, '89, he doing this stuff with Dr. Dre, like, on Rap City, and touring. Then he lost his voice. When I heard about him losing his voice, like, and even to this day, like, man, what had happened?
D.O.C. would have been the premier rapper for at least 10 years if that accident hadn't happened to him.
He's another one of those individuals that still probably hasn't gotten his due, but people who are in hip hop know that he kind of upped the ante for the rap game.
So right now we going to Deep Ellum, and for those who was around, like, you know, like in the early 90s, Deep Ellum was pretty much the epicenter of where, like, all the hip hop things happened. It was the poppin' club district. It was where you would go to see any major, like, hip hop artist that was in town. I mean, there was some other clubs around town, like RJ's by the Lake, which eventually became Lakeside, and I think one time it was called Manhattan. But Deep Ellum had the Bomb Factory. It had Dreadnoughty, it had Exodus, it had the Liquid Lounge, Onasile Gallery. I mean, countless spots where, like, you know, artists from all across the country would come through and put it down, and people would pay top dollar to come see them. Like, if Dallas was New York, Deep Ellum was the South Bronx. Like, you know, the art was being cultivated all around the city, but it would meet up right here at Deep Ellum.
Now, Deep Ellum was cracking at a moment. I'm taking Bomb Factory. That's what I say. I say Bomb Factory. That should give you a timeline right there.
Man, back then, Deep Ellum was off the chain, dude. Deep Ellum was really the heart of Dallas hip-hop.
It was just cracking. Like, Main Street was, you could not move.
And, like, all these dope local groups, man, that inspired me. And I came from Chicago being an MC, and I didn't know they had that in Texas.
That kind of turned my whole fucking world around. I went from, like, just being some little hood kid who wanted to rap and shit to being around all this art and all this creative energy and shit that I'd never been exposed to before.
I mean, it was so many venues, so many people. It would be packed. It would be people walking all around.
And then Exodus opened. And that was fucking nuts. That was so cool. That's like my best memories of 20 years ago are Exodus.
Exodus became the Mecca, the hip-hop Mecca for Dallas, or the home, I should say.
It was a kind of reggae club, but it was also a hip-hop club, and it was really raw, but man, they had some great shit there. Gangstar played there, man, it was amazing.
They would bring, I don't know who the promoters were at that time, because I didn't know a lot of
like
people back
KNON,
then.
I remember KNON, yeah.
All I know is that they would bring a dope group that was hot out of the whole, like, nationally.
Yeah.
And they would put nothing but local artists on to open up for them.
Yeah, like we would see Redman back then, you know, when we was young, we see Redman, Method Man, Wu-Tang, all them coming and Common and all that, and then yeah, they'd have local groups opening, you know, and we got a chance to open for some people, you know what I'm saying?
And this isn't just at Exodus, this is like...
At the bigger spots like Bomb Factory.
Yeah, the Bomb Factory,
places like that.
I saw Biggie at Bomb Factory.
See, you know what I'm saying?
I saw Biggie at Bomb Factory.
Yeah, Beat Nuts, all that, man.
Oh, man. So right now we're about to roll up to the legendary Exodus, which is no longer Exodus, it's now a biker's bar called Reno's Bar and Grill. This is kind of where my underground hip hop story begins for me. Exodus was like the first spot that I got a chance to rock at that wasn't my high school or a talent show. They used to have live performances. I saw cats like Master Ace, The youngsters came through, performed here. Pretty much a who's who of anybody that was like, you know, popping or on the verge of popping at that time came through in here and just completely shut the stage down. So long story short, man, we were walking in front of what used to be the legendary Exodus Bar and Grill. It's now Reno's Bar and Grill. And yo, this is where the hip hop game, man, in Dallas really started for a lot of people. Next door, they had this other spot where I don't remember what it was called at the time, but this is where I met KNON, and he accused of somebody taking a bite out of his sandwich. I was terrified. I thought he thought I did it. But at the end of the day, man, because I had the heart to talk to him, he gave me a mad style of show, man, so it was real cool.
I am the Divine KNON, God of Love. We're in the middle of First and Houston in the Lower East Side. Chris and myself and some other dudes that run around. We be known as IGP.
IGP, International Grand Posse, if I recall correctly.
IGP, you must know me, man. You know a little bit more about me than I think you do.
To this day, you know, I'm still in IGP.
Still IGP all day, for real. Eddie's show was our platform, Down by Sound. Eddie D was also part of it. It was just, it was a movement. I know people use that term real loosely, but it was a clique, it was a gang, it was a musical movement, and it had a lot of different forms and a lot of different members. I mean, there was one point when we were involved with Paul Quigg, and there was a band aspect.
What we did was we created a forum for acts that would not necessarily get play on the radio. Now they had a place to showcase their shit, and they would come to the Exodus. And it was my job to have people there to listen. And at first it wasn't easy. There wasn't hardly nobody going, but then it caught on.
K-Song was great. He was, I think he was IGP, he and Cole Chris. That was their deal with Baby G. Baby G was a phenomenal DJ. I think Baby G, actually, he deserves mention here because he was really one of the first Dallas personalities to escape outside the city limits when he went up to New York City and played at the New Music Seminar and blew everybody away in the competition, you know.
IGP, respect to all Dallas posse. Yo, now for your viewing pleasures, we got the man, the grand incredible cut selector, catching mad wreck on the motherfucking 1 and 2. My man, Baby G.
That's a guy I would not have battled back then. I'm gonna be honest.
I won a 91 Best DJ, Dallas Observer, and never told anybody, but thought he should have got it because he's the one who went to the DMC mixing finals.
Everything that he did with the wax was so incredible. No headphones, you know, using his privates, everything behind the back, over the leg, and it was like incredible.
Those tricks weren't necessarily hard, so to speak. It was more so of like a novelty thing. Like, oh my God, he's scratching, and then all of a sudden he's got his nuts on the fader and working it back and forth.
They would start their whole set and Baby G would just fucking go off. And he was the Don, the king.
These guys basically were like the hottest rap crew in Dallas at that time, as far as hip-hop, that hip-hop.
IGP later would become Mad Flavor. They, I think it was Priority had signed them.
Cole Chris used to be like my favorite rapper in Dallas, man. Cole Chris from Mad Flavor.
Mad Flavor's that group. Cole Chris, man, he's one of the illest MCs I had ever seen.
Baby G, KNON, they was heroes. Cole Chris is a dope MC.
I didn't get to say that Mad Flavor was like the worst rap name ever for a group. I want to say that. Can I say that real quick? Hype Dog was the production anchor and also real talented lyrically too. I mean, people know Eric busted on the Mad Flavor album. Mikey was the dancehall, you know, the reggae element, the chanta. That's what made everything so dope back in the golden era and all that, was that there was a diversity. The key to it is a balance. To me, you have to have a balance musically and in the culture and with MCs and the different kind of MCs. I mean, it's great to have trap rap and, you know, swag rap or whatever they call it, where the lyrical content is not that complicated. But I mean, there's a lane for that. But the problem is when everything is that.
Each one of those groups that we've been talking about here, they all had their own lane. And that's what made each one of them respect each other. Because nobody was trying to do what the next man was doing.
And back in 92, 93, we was using everybody's influences. We was using West Coast, we was using East Coast. I mean, whatever was dope.
If you was in Deep Ellum in the 90s, that was it, you know. I mean, because you had our kind of crews.
Man, there's so many, man. You know, you got Sons of Soul, Mental Chaos.
Off top, I have to say NYK, Afflomatics.
Squad X. To this day, like, some of the dopest DFW hip-hop is the Pattern Man, you know, that demo tape shit.
For a little while, there was a crew called the Distortionists, which I was jocking them. I don't think they knew it.
I'd say the Boondocks.
The Menu.
Smooth Criminal, who's now known as Uptight. Crazy. 6'2", who's in Genocide then.
6'2". 6'2"? Man, that dude with the smooth right around 6'2". He got that smooth ass voice, Genocide.
I am and forever will be a Shabazz 3 fan, okay?
A lot of the cats from Arlington, that whole crew, like what Picasso was in, Dysfunctional.
I don't really think people understand, you know, how important Picasso is. He made a lot of people step their shit way up.
Like my favorite was Tahiti, Chuck and Swap. Native folks, I love them to death. Between them and the Petamed.
Tahiti, I could say, introduced showmanship into the live scene more than any single individual that I can think of in Dallas.
Every time there was a show, you had to bring your best because, you know, Native Poet might be rocking that night and these MCs are crazy. So you got to be able to step on that stage with a Native Poet, step on that stage with a Blood Ties, step on that stage with somebody that was just incredible, you know, a Mad Flavor or somebody. You had to have your A game.
It was really no walls or no boundaries on the whole culture at that point. So everything meshed. You know, you went to the hip hop shows. The DJs obviously, the breakers were there, and the graffiti kids were passing around black books. So it was just a special time in Dallas because everybody was real into the culture. You know what I mean? And showing their talents in their area of the culture and developing that. So
I think graffiti at that time was just such an anomaly. People had seen it, you know, in art magazines and whatnot from Los Angeles and New York and that sort of stuff, but it's still, I don't think people had really witnessed the full extent of what graffiti was.
Dude, back in the early 90s, late 80s, there was only two guys as far as I'm concerned. And as far as like Dallas graffiti goes, they go by the name of Ozone and Mosquito. And we would actually drive down to like Deep Ellum to just take pictures in front of the graffiti walls that they would do. And that was basically like the only location in Dallas where you could go and find that kind of artwork.
Dallas, I think at that point was still not that exposed. You know, it was before the whole internet boom and the whole thing. So they weren't that exposed to what was going on with the rest of the world as far as graffiti goes. But Ross had a sketchbook full, you know, of characters and letters and not only that, he wrote, you know, he wrote little quotes, which is very authentic hip-hop culture, you know, for graffiti. So, you know, I admired, you know, his artwork for that, mainly because of the thought that went behind his drawings. And then I found out he was a tattoo artist, so it all made sense, you know.
they didn't even have a budget until our crew, really. Like, they didn't have a graffiti task force or any like shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't care, I guess. I don't know. It wasn't there.
I guess you had the generation that started in the early 90s was a crew in Pleasant Grove and a crew in East Dallas.
We had a little meeting grounds, Pearlstone, which is like an old school craft spot, like this decrepit building and stuff, like on the outskirts of Deep Ellum. But that's where we kind of met up, and we had a little formal meeting of trying to combine the crews and then push one single crew through Dallas.
Well, shit, you know, like none of us, you know, have any beef, so why don't we start a crew? And I guess we all met together. And there's actually a guy by the name of
Mash Out, a partner of mine. He, you know what I'm saying, he was an MC, dabbled in graph a little bit. He kind of came up with the name while we were all there throwing ideas around.
And everybody's like, what about this name? What about this name? What about this name? And then finally it was like, Mash Out was like, what about Infinity Crew? And everybody kind of looked at each other and was like, yeah, that sounds cool.
Coldest crew in D-Town.
What does IC stand for?
Infinite Crew. Plain and simple, just something that's gonna be around forever, you know?
IC was the really first solid crew that really pushed the envelope as far as what graffiti was.
We'd go down there and see like the IC walls. Well, we just saw graffiti and then come to see like it was a crew called IC. And they had that big old polar bear and they tripped up the IC logo. And that really just freaked me out. So I saw something so commercial and so accepted, yet they flipped it and made something, you know, street.
Infinity Crew did for me and for a lot of fellow writers around town what, you know, a teacher would do in a classroom, you know, is show you something and like give it to you, and then it was up to you to do something with it. So you would see their style and you would go home, or you would, you know, you would do your own thing, whether subliminally or consciously being influenced by them. And that was the street way of teaching, you know.
Around that time, like 97, 98, IC was already painting a lot of stuff around Deep Ellum. They were doing the Pearlstone building. You have to really, it's like a mission to get in there at that time, but they had a lot of walls out there in Deep Ellum. Ace parking lot was really taking off, and you know, everybody really knew IC was the crew. You know, that was it. Like, you know, everybody was either trying to like get to their level or try to get down with IC any way possible.
Certain commission jobs that I'm able to get because of what I do, sometimes it just baffles me. Because I mean, I've done the inside of a church, homie, in downtown. Like, really, who commissions graffiti inside of a church nowadays, you know?
Dedicated hip-hop soldier.
Minus was one of those guys that I think I found really intimidating as a young kid, you know. I would see him painting and, you know, I was almost scared to approach him or say hello. So a lot of times I didn't, you know, I just let him paint and just watch and learn. But, you know, he's one of the guys that I'm really happy that I earned, or me and our crew earned his respect, you know.
We had always grown up looking at his letters, you know. We knew his style before you actually, like, knew Minus.
And the good thing about Minus' style is that you can see it from a mile away. Like, you don't even have to see that it says Minus. You just can look at how it's painted, the color scheme, everything you know is Minus. And I think that was probably I think that for the most part is the most important thing about a graffiti artist, that you can identify with that piece, whether you can read it or not, just by looking at the color choice, style, or placement even. You know, it's just crazy. But Minus definitely had that certain style that was just like, you can't really compare it to anything else.
Hanging out with him over the years and like doing some events with him and, you know, sharing some of the same walls and just getting to know him as a person kind of taught me more about graffiti than necessarily what he did with his hands. The nature of his spirit was very, you know, controlled and loving to what he did. And I think he did it with a lot of heart. So that to me was more impressive than, you know, his styles, even though his styles were amazing.
He brought so much to the game of hip hop. I've seen rival crews come together because of this cat. I've seen people that haven't talked to each other in 20 some odd years come together and reconcile because of this cat. All in the name of love and hip hop, because of what we felt hip hop was about on a mundane level perspective. Esoterically, spiritually, it's a whole nother ball game with this cat. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. And some of us know that because the beauty, he exuded all that artwork this him walking down the street, he was doing artwork. You know what I'm saying? It was art in motion. His smile. You know what I'm saying? Just a what up, just a fucking pound and a what up. Felt like you just found $20 on the street.
Well, Dallas has lost an artist. He wasn't in museums.
It's unlikely his pictures are framed in anyone's home, but hundreds are remembering the man who called himself -1, many with artwork of their own.
Friends say Minus had worked all day Saturday and just watched the Rangers game with friends, and he collapsed for unknown reasons and died soon after. By Sunday, a call had gone out to other artists to create and honor -1.
Mopping in my black book, steady trying to find God in between the lines where the colors start to bleed, filling in the empty space, wishing that could be me. Life is feeling like a free wall every single day. What you're seeing right now is a cover for yesterday. So I hit the rail yard and attempt to ease my stressing. I feel at ease under the moonlight, releasing with the pressure. With the squeeze of a fingertip, my name bears meaning. So I keep my mouth shut and let my paint do the screaming. I got callous fingerprints where every argument made. And as this train rolls out, you can hear my voice fade. So if you stop and pay attention, you can hear my heart speak. Because the sound of the train on that track is my heartbeat.
I give a lot of credit to the younger kids that were able to see kind of like the scene that started when they were kids, and as far as like what purpose we served, you know.
At each and every point in DFW's history, there's always been great MCs, great DJs, great breakdancers, B-boys, B-girls, graffiti artists. We have always been on par with the rest of the nation as far as talent is concerned. So that was one thing I always loved about Dallas, that it was just this thing ready to burst on, you know, and it still is, you know. People just don't know. I think they sleep a lot on Dallas.
Inside your panic. We're going to put them in a panic. Volcanic inferno in a stereo. Yo, we're that. Are you ready, my people? Yeah.
Before I started DJing, I was a b-boy myself. Not great. I was all right.
The dance is what really got me into hip hop. I knew I was a b-boy.
It was like a scene, like a trend, mainly among Latin kids, but it was huge. Like there was, I want to say, almost 100 crews in the city of Dallas.
It was all about Latin freestyle music here at first.
Yeah, because we didn't know what really b-boying really is.
And freestyle was cool. Yeah, freestyle was like, you know, like the little Suzies and, you know, like little Debras and shit like that.
I'm thinking about it. Shit was
yeah, I mean, but that had the same kind of energy as, you know, Planet Rock.
A lot of energy, a lot of funkiness, just originality.
It's an athlete. You have to be an athlete. It's tough. Breakdancing is tough, man. It hurts. Let me tell you, you have to learn to live in pain.
It was really dominated by power heads, you know, your gymnast moves that you see people doing windmills and flares.
Power heads what served me, dog. Like, I was all about flavor, you know what I'm saying?
Power's a big thing in hip-hop right now. Power is what I would say is the sport, the real hardcore sport side of breaking.
Creating momentum, spinning around your own body. You can be spinning on one hand, on two hands, on your head, using your hands to spin. But that's basically what power moves is, man. And we add a lot of flavor to them. You know, Texas, that you know, we add a lot of flavor to that. So they was feeling that shit.
Our moves just came easy. I can't dance for nothing. Got no rhythm, got no soul. Just I could fly around. Yeah, I could fly. That's one thing that I always said, I could fly. But
tell them your nickname.
What do you want to know my nickname?
Tell them your nickname. What did you consider yourself?
I was the playmaker.
I wish b-boys were around for those days, dog. You get served by these cats. Those cats were like, man, I can't even express it to you, man.
You know, first names that come to mind is George and Luis from, you know, at that time was Illusions crew, Little Danny from Down the Rock, you know,
Brian Brothers, like he
from Oak Cliff.
United B-Boys really were like, if it weren't for them, the people in Korea wouldn't be doing what they're doing now.
A lot of the combinations, like of the new school power moves, like air tracks and all that, and hand hops and tricks, those were done here in Texas. Like a lot of the b-boys here innovated that shit. Like, and once we went to Cali, like in '99 for some battle, like freestyle session. And since then, like they saw what Texas had, and after that, that's when power moves blew up all over the world.
Their first competition out of the state, which I believe was Freestyle Session 5. Curious George got best power of the whole event, and that's throughout the whole United States, so it's pretty crazy.
After freestyle session, that was a big opening. That's when we started changing the power and just the power game, basically. And that was all because we ended up collaborating with the guys from Houston. We started seeing different things. We started going out of town. We started representing Dallas. And that's where everything just came out. Like, that's when everybody was like, whoa, like, who are this cat?
You know, a lot of people saw them do a lot of things that Texas was already doing for a good while, but just, you know, other states got to see what we had, you know, and it just so happened that power moves was one of the things that we excelled at and we were good at, you know, so people took recognition of that. And they kind of ran with it, you know, and basically, you know, kind of categorized us to only being power moves, which wasn't the case, but we did excel at them, so that's what people noticed, you know.
Yeah, y'all. Yeah, y'all. Yeah, y'all. Yeah, y'all.
Job Turkey started with a bunch of rejects. We couldn't get into other crews. We wanted to get in that guy's crew, but we couldn't.
It was just nothing but a whole bunch of rejects from other crews. I only got in because they asked Sal to get in.
One day, Joey was just like, I want to start a crew of nothing but footwork, nothing but style.
They came out hard because they had a lot of flavor. They didn't limit themselves to just Texas. They studied and practiced based on like a national flavor, and that's why they were different from any Dallas crew, I think.
Dallas was known for, was more known for power instead of people coming out in style. That's what I think helped our crew, because we focused on style, footwork, freezes, stuff like that.
Yeah, man, you know, Jive was never really a crew that was just power-oriented. They always had guys that was able to do, you know, tricks and flips and footwork, you know what I mean? So we was kind of one of the crews here in Texas who definitely had the whole package, you know.
These young cats, like, didn't get a chance to fully, like, you know, grasp and, like, you know, hold on to that, you know? So, but there was some epic B-boys from Dallas, for real.
Dallas at that point was a weird city because, like I said, you did have a strong hip-hop culture and a movement going on, but it was underground. You know what I'm saying? The way we chose to approach rap, different from the guys from Texas, the way they thought it should be done and stuff like that, and the things that interest us wasn't typical for guys, you know, growing up in our neighborhoods.
You know, hip-hop was like at the beginning, it was like party and bullshit. So, you know, everybody likes to do that, but when the South came in, you know, niggas was hustling. The overall message of hip hop kind of changed.
And so that's when you see, at least that's when I started to see a lot of more, what I would say Southern rap really try to make their mark and stamp it not only by how they were perceived to the public, but I mean stamp it on their music, lyrically within their music, embedded, you know, in the insert sheets, you know what I'm saying? On flyers. I mean, they were really making a concerted effort to say, hey, this is who I am, this is where I'm from, and this is what I'm about. Fuck you if you ain't down with it. That's how it was.
Coming up the motherfucking block, it's the Undertaker. Just throw your hands in the air, don't move a muscle, I won't hesitate to just let you have it with a few.
Artist gonna be an artist. You're only gonna paint pictures of what you know. So, you know, that's how I got into doing street hip hop, is from being in the damn streets, you know.
Come on, man, rap it was grimy. You know, rap is grimy, man. Rap is from the streets, you know. Everybody talks about hip hop. I love hip hop, but, you know, we rappers down here, man. You know, Pimp C said, you know, it's country rap tunes. And that's basically what we, and no diss to hip hop because we are the baby of hip hop, you know, for say, but you know, and we all started out being fans of hip hop, you know, but when they kind of didn't give us our just due on the East Coast, you know, we had to make an avenue and a lane for ourselves. And it was, we fathered and babied a bunch of rappers, bro, and that's what this is.
Yeah, this Cottonmouth, Bradley Boy #1, Bradley World Volume 2.
That's OG, man. You know what I'm saying? Anything you want to know, ask OG Cottonmouth. And he gonna tell you, man. He gonna tell you what's up.
I got Cottonmouth in that magazine, on the front cover of our magazine back in the 90s. Cottonmouth been doing it for long. That dude knows the business.
Cottonmouth cold, one of the coldest MCs I ever seen.
Cottonmouth was always dope to me, you know, always real. I mean, I respected that because they were talking about a different aspect of Dallas life besides just being the most lyrical, you know. They were talking about what was going on, you know, and Dallas needed that. Dallas needed their story told like Houston or anybody else did.
Cottonmouth he reminds me of the guys that were at death row. He keeps it real. Be real with Cottonmouth.
Of course he was angry. He was an angry black man, but look what you had done to him. You turned him into an angry black man. If you'd have helped him, he wouldn't have been like that. Everybody know Cottonmouth was gonna come in here and turn over your table or your DJ equipment because principles. You know, you playing all this New York shit, you playing all this California shit, what about us? We live here. And at that time, he was the rapper that was in the forefront.
We just now getting a chance to be exposed, but back in the Gap, we felt like if we said Dallas, they're not gonna play it. They're not gonna respect it, you know. And then everybody know, if they know your hip hop on Dallas, that's when I came into play. That's when I went to slapping fucking DJs and jacking motherfuckers up. Yeah, I was fucked up, I was young, but I just had a essence, I had a goal to where it wasn't finna be no more scared to say Dallas. We from Dallas.
Don't get scared now. No, come on, then talk now. I done heard you talk now you have to listen to us now. Listen. A nigga just
I mean, I've seen niggas do their thing, and I respect everything. But I remember Redrum was doing that shit when niggas thought it was impossible to do that shit. And that was without K104. K104 wasn't on beating on niggas' doors or nothing. Niggas was like, man, fuck Dallas niggas, man. But niggas, we was on I-45 though. I saw my nigga Red Rat and OZ and all them niggas on the goddamn billboard right under that goddamn me up on Keith and Polk right there.
They put out some very good records. I think they should have got way more notoriety than they have. They was known a lot in this area, Texas-wise, but they had some good records to this day that never seen the light of day. Google he's a badass producer. I like that dude.
Google got a southern accent mixed with his Nigerian accent. Google, I'm the capital G-U-G, you motherfucker. The body, the killer. I'm like, this Google's a different kind of dude.
Redrum was around for a minute. They was one of the major independents before it was cool to be independent. You know, when they was independent, people was like, what are y'all doing? Because everybody was so used to labels.
I ain't seen no nigga make a dark bus purple yet. One of you niggas, please make one of them dark bus, wrap that bitch and make that bitch, and I'll shake your hand. I saw 4 goon niggas on goddamn me, nigga, the 486, nigga. Come on, do that for me, shit.
Redrum Records' presence in Dallas, to me, could have been as big as Death Row, could have been as big as Bad Boy. The whole thing was, I think that everybody that was a part of it was too real.
When I tell you they're heavy, these guys were heavy hitters, real heavy hitters, you know what I'm saying? Real heavy hitters, so yeah. Like I said, I don't want to go into too much detail, but you know, what happened, but Redrum went its separate ways. The government basically closed us down. That's really what happened. Government closed us down.
Shit, nigga. A nigga just stepped off the post like, shit, who wanna fuck with a nigga from the Grove, same mustard ass clothes, don't do what y'all do. What nigga do what we supposed, sleep with one eye closed, standing on 10 toes, got 10 hoes, and not a man I fuck with. Nah, I'm playing. I might give him a duck sick, but that's way better than that trifling ass, nagging ass shife hoe you stuck with, nigga. Money Waters, y'all dub claiming. Big nuts hanging. Dick just swinging. Look here. See? Damn near touching the ground. My bitch broke her with me, but she keep coming around, playboy. You got the best woman in town, but when we come to a town, nigga, we fucking her down. See, I was red rumming then, and I'm red rumming now. What up, Zero, Pierre, Goo Goo? Still going down, man. Yo. Shit.
Money Waters, that's my boy, man. He got that unorthodox style, man, that's just grimy and gutter and raw, man, and it's real. You know what I'm saying? He a real cat, you know what I'm saying? Money Waters, that's my partner.
If you can't get along with money, something is wrong with you. I mean, literally. If you can't have fun with money, you know, something wrong. And that's what we used to call him Money, but Casso got in there and was like, oh, the funk is coming out. I'm gonna call you Money Waters. And that's how he took on the Waters part. Y'all didn't know that, huh?
Money Waters is a genius. I remember I told him, I said, "Mama, call yourself Money, man. Money Waters. Kind of like our Muddy Waters. Money, call yourself that." I remember Money Waters coming to Redrum with some chicken.
Muddy Waters is like the slums. He's like the people in the shadows, the soulfulness, the shit that you can't see. That's the kind of shit he be on. Money Waters kind of like hip hop Holy Ghost.
You know, Isley Brothers, them niggas still doing albums. The Isley Brothers, fool. You know why? Because ain't nobody can do what they're doing. That's why. It ain't because, you know, them niggas has actually got their niche, and them niggas gonna do that shit till they die, and you know, nobody can fuck with them. Frankie Beverly Mays, same niggas. Them niggas don't even know who the radio station is nowadays. But them niggas shows be packed every time. Those niggas I look up to. I want to be like them niggas. I just want to be out there old and a bitch. Just, shit. Good night, y'all. Good night.
I'ma jump it off, straight up ripping, pop my clipping. Best be word to the nigga that's tripping. Over there, I think I see him finna get him. Fuck who came with him.
Pookie and Lucci, they like the truth, you know. When they together, it's like Bun B and Pimp C.
I tell you what, when they came out, they made noise in Dallas. They represented Dallas. They did it the right way, and I give them much respect.
Dallas had a musical identity crisis for a long time. You know, being in the middle between LA and between New York is like, everybody always sounded, even Mad Flavor didn't sound like we were from Dallas, you know? But there was finally artists like Pookie and Lucci where they were like, okay, the slang, the accent, what they were talking about, you knew those guys were from Dallas.
I did K-Rock, Pookie, and Lucci with no samples, no production team, no features, and I didn't buy not one beat. Everybody knew I produced everything. Everybody knew that. That was the secret to our thing. We were like the old school Oakland Raiders, baby. We did it for ourselves.
I say you got to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Or else you ain't showing nobody nothing. You ain't showing nobody nothing. You showing somebody else. So, you know what I'm saying? You got to do you. If you do you, that's gonna tell you if you good or not. You know what I'm saying? That'll tell you. Because you doing you. And if they like you or don't like you, they'll let you know.
What do I think is another element that's added to this shit? Producers should be added to the elements of hip hop, because right now, that's a whole business in its own.
I guess with the advent of the internet, producers are getting more shine. Like back in the day, we really didn't get shine like that.
I can't tell you how many records I've been involved in, and they talk about me, but they don't talk about the room full of guys I've brought along to help them facilitate that record.
Y'all get the record, and y'all fall in love with that one motherfucker whose face or name is on the front. It took about 4 or 5 really dedicated people to make that one person look good, you know what I'm saying? Or that one song sound good, you know? And so I'm into giving credit where credit is due now.
I don't just give that name producer to everybody. For one, you have to, I believe you have to be productive, which means you can't be walking around with two beats in a bag.
I just was intrigued by how in the fuck does this happen by hitting the kick, the snare, and the whole nine, because me and North Skills have any type of musical family or any school or any of that shit, It's just like, just raw DJ shit, DJing is like, that's the #1 educator when it comes to being a producer or artist. Like being a DJ, because all you do is play hit records. A lot of them.
But it was Gang Starr's Daily Operation album. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, this dude Guru is amazing. Like, he's spitting these amazing, I was like, but who's making that music? Like, I want to know how that's being done.
I always say music is like, it's so therapeutic for me. When I'm in the studio, all the emotions that I have built up, all my experiences, whether good or bad, I try to just really just translate that into music. Any type of negative energy, any type of positive energy, I just let the music be my instrument to really just create something positive and give it to the world.
I used to love the effect that music had on people. How people would just change, everything would change. Your music come on, chicks start dancing and shit, and shit got fun, or shit got sad, or shit got happy, or shit got mad, whatever. I had an opportunity to DJ one night at the Exodus. My brother Rob Bell used to DJ there, and he gave me 15 minutes while he went and did what he did. I got on there and I played a couple of songs. And the songs I played got a reaction from the crowd. And that reaction made me say, I want to make beats. I want to make the beats that the DJs play.
Dedicated hip-hop soldier.
If anybody ever has any questions about what Dallas has ever made, they made us. Grammy Award-winning #1 chart-topping guys. Been in the game for 10 years. That started in the streets of Deep Ellum, DJing, to fucking red carpets and private jets to Amsterdam to produce records. Like, it can happen. What a testament to that.
I'm a latchkey child. So when my parents weren't there, it was always the music. You know what I'm saying? Like, even as an adult, it's the music. I start my day off listening to music. I may not necessarily love all the aspects of hip-hop that are presented, but at the end of the day, at its core, I'm always love hip-hop, because I am hip-hop.
It taught me how to show love through people, through my music. It showed me that, man, with these words, you could be immortalized and then love could be shown. It showed me how to power. You make people put their hands up through hip-hop. You can't make nobody put your hands up without any other circumstance. You just go down the street, hey man, put your hands up. And you in the store, why? But through music, you can do that shit.
I always love music, you know what I'm saying? It's, when you hear that beat, you just know if it's a single or not, you know what I'm saying? You know if it's gonna be something, and to put words to it and just create something out of it, man, it's like a miracle.
I love hip hop. There's nothing like it. It's a culture. I don't even mind. I'll be 51 June 7th. I don't even give a fuck about that. I'll be 51 June 7th, and I'll be a b-boy to the day I die. That's just it. You know what I'm saying? Old ass fucking b-boy. Yeah. But go sit your ass down and shit.
You still love hip hop?
Profusely, almost to a fault. It's a way of life. It ain't. This ain't something I do in my pastime. This something I do because I'm alive. It's what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? This ain't no hobby. Can't do nothing else but this.
I don't think it's a hobby anymore, man.
It is not?
Hobby is something you do one time off. This is just what I do, even when I'm asleep.
Okay.
Dallas is something else, man. It's very interesting, but what prevented us in the past, it can't be stopped, They thought they could stop hip-hop as a whole. Remember when it was just a trend and it was a fad and shit?
Yes, indeed, you are tuned to KNON 89.3 FM, the voice of the people. And as quick as it started, it's over. Stay tuned next week with my man Picasso. I'm going to see if I can get my man Nicky Jones to come down. That would be awesome. You know, and I don't say awesome very often, but it's such an awesome word. But anyway, definitely keep your ear to the speaker. Thank you for tuning in, and everybody have a safe week. And as always, peace, positive education, and provides creative energy. Peace and blessings.